Anyways, that's a little bit about me. Now I want to get into what I want to be my featured story for today because it's just me by myself. So here is my featured story of the day. All right. Yeah, I like that. Hashtag Brian for Booster. Maybe that'll happen. Rachel, I should have had you on here. I was afternoon. I wasn't going to come on. And then I decided last minute, I'm like, you know what? Let's throw something together and do a light show today because it's just, couldn't work it out with everybody because of this business meeting I have tonight. But I want to talk about Avatar for just a little bit here. I'm not going to talk long. It's not going to be a long hour today. It'll probably be a little bit shorter because, again, it's just me shooting the shit. If anybody has comments, please comment along. It's always fun. But I want to talk about Avatar, The Way of Water. So I finally got a chance to see it last weekend, and I've been kind of sitting on it and thinking about it and thinking about it and dwelling upon it and being like, what do I think about this movie overall? Okay, overall, I do think, and I'm going to put this out there if you haven't seen it, I do think it's better than the first one. I'm saying it right now. I think it's better than the first one. I was hesitant to go see this thing because of how long it was, for one thing. The runtime always can get you, you know? The runtime can be very difficult, over 3 hours. And then I feel like there's so many movies coming out over 3 hours. You also have, Babylon came out over 3 hours. I still haven't seen that. I want to see it. It's just finding that time on your day is difficult. Okay, put that aside. This movie starts off and it really dives into the family dynamic. The family. You get to see what Jake's family's been doing. He builds up a bunch of kids. He actually has a family and he teaches them how to live and thrive, and years and years and years and years go by. And that's what this shows. It shows them becoming parents, which is pretty great. It's fun. And then the humans come back. Dun, dun, dun. And when the humans come back, everything goes to hell and they bomb the whole world. They bomb the world and they make a new civilization. And then another time jump happens. So, okay, they're loving some time jumps in here. That's cool. That's cool with me. You got to set the stage. And for me, with the initial one, Avatar 1, it was too much like Ferngully for me. Like, that's what people say Pocahontas, but for me, it's still Ferngully. When I was a kid at that time, you had Ferngully, you have the Tree of Life, and they're trying to bulldoze the Tree of Life down. And all the fairies are like, no, this is our life source. It's the same shit here. It's the same shit. I mean, I get Pocahontas, but to me, it's still Ferngully. At least this one's like, okay, we've done Ferngully. We're not doing Ferngully 2. We're going to go in a different direction. We're going to do the water stuff. We're going to see a new tribe, which is what they do. The third one's supposed to be the fire tribe. This was the water tribe. So pretty much, this is going to be a little bit of spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, if you don't care, here we go into it. Spoiler alert now, moving forward. I'm not going to give you the whole thing. I'm going to give you breadcrumbs here and there. But I got to get out of the way. The one thing that I thought was actually well done was bringing back Miles. Miles, the general, the commander. Miles comes back. Who was the villain in the first one? Steven comes back, and honestly, the way they do it, it's right off the bat. The thing is, how they do this? But they do it right off the bat. They bring him right back, and they use this whole thing of they downloaded his brain before he went there, and then they put his brain in an avatar. So when he wakes up, he doesn't remember how he died. He doesn't remember the last moments of his life at all, but he knows everything building up to it. So this was a contingency plan, pretty much. So if they do die, they can come back stronger in these new bodies and they can fight. And he has his whole team back. So they put his whole team in Avatar bodies. I know they have this new unit that's coming in there to take on Jake and to take down the whole tribe and to take over because it's pretty much a revenge thing. So, okay, he's back. And there's a great scene where he goes back to where he actually died in the first one. If you don't remember, he gets killed and he's in the machine and it gets arrows through his body. They go back there. He finds his dead body. He replays how he dies. He grabs his skull like this and he just crushes it. And that was really cool. I don't know if that was something that came up later, but it was a really good moment. This guy's dead and now it's me. And then he has this play back and forth is it me? Is it not me? Who am I? Am I that guy? Am I not that guy? You don't really he is, but he's not, at this point. So that whole arc with him, I think, works really well. But then it becomes this whole revenge scheme for the rest of the movie. We got to take down Jake. Really, he's really focused on Jake. And then, of course, taking over the tribes. But it's really about Jake because now they're colonizing. This whole movie's colonizing, which is why I get fascinated with where this show is going. Because the fact that they're colonizing the planet, right? And now they're going to be bringing in more and more people and building up. And the whole premise is Earth is pretty much going to be done. Earth isn't a problem right now. It's gone downhill. They're losing resources, hence why they came here from the get-go. So now they're going to start actually laying down land here and putting down feet on the ground. They're going to start living here and creating a new civilization on the planet. And this causes more problems for everybody that lives there already, the natives, and for the new settlers. So that aspect I think is cool, and I think that's going to lead into the rest of the movies. This one doesn't really cover that too much because it becomes a revenge plot moving forward from here. You got Jake and his wife. They're like, we got to get the hell out of here. So they take off, and they go to a new tribe. And that's kind of how the movie starts. And honestly, that's in the first like half hour. And they're off to the races. So now they go to this new tribe of the water, and they learn the way of water, and you have dragons that swim in the ocean now and also fly in the air as opposed to just flying in the air, which is cool. So they're going underwater, and the special effects of this looks amazing. You see all these great moments where they're underwater having full scenes. And when I was first watching the behind the scenes stuff with this, I was like, how is all this water stuff going to fit into the plot? How are they going to make this happen? And then when you watch the movie, you see that they're like, honestly, it's pretty cool. They're diving underwater, and the way they shoot this, everyone's exploring, because apparently this new tribe, the water tribe, they can actually breathe underwater longer. They've evolved differently because they live in water. So their tail's thicker. They can. So it's more of a fin. They can breathe better underwater. Like they've adapted. They're a little different color. They're more of a turquoise than an actual blue. So I think when we get to the fire people, I bet they'll be a little bit more red in the third movie. So it's kind of cool how they're diving into the indigenous people, and they're showing like how they're not all the same, which is the way the world is where we live too, that everyone doesn't look the same. That's cool. I think James Cameron does a great job doing that. And then the effects underwater, I mean, it's beautiful. It really is. It's just fucking beautiful. So that sold me. I was like, okay, I get where you're going. And it felt like its own world and its own plot. Again, it's a revenge movie to me. You know, they're hiding out. Jake takes his family away from the tree people because he's worried about everyone dying. But this is where I'm like, dude, he's going to follow you. You know this motherfucker. You know this guy, right? You know Miles. You know what you went through in the first movie, you know, all those years ago. And you're going to take your family and you're going to move to this new tribe, and he won't find me. What? He won't follow me? We'll be safe here? And it's like, even when they go there, they say it. They're like, well, what's to say that this person's not going to bring his problems here? Duh, it's going to happen. So of course, as the movie goes through, his problems come to him, and Steven finds him, Miles finds him. And now they have this huge group. They're flying in to attack, and there's a huge epic battle, of course. And there's more battles in between. There's one of my favorite actual moments in the whole movie is the initial battle where they go head to head, Jake and Miles again. And he gets to realize that Miles is back alive. And he's like, and then they're like, we're going to kill you again. And that fight is really cool. The kids are there. They're there. And it's a great battle where they're saving their kids. And the kids in here. Okay, let me talk about the kids for a second. The kids, which I think are great, they do a great job. They honestly do. Across the board. But those kids be dumb. That's all. It's like they always stick together. And Jake's like, don't take your little sister there. Don't take your kid, your siblings there. And what happens? They keep bringing everybody together. So all of a sudden, every time, all the kids are in trouble. And then they have to save every kid. It's not like one kid's in trouble. It's like they all get together. It's like, you're screwed because we're going to kill your whole family if you don't come and save them. And to me, I'm like, what? It's like 3 hours of this. I mean, honestly, again, I enjoyed the movie much more than I did. And this picture is actually of Spider and Miles in the background. And Miles is like, okay, so he's, that's his avatar form. That's all he has now. And Spider's actually his son. And this is the whole thing too. It's like, I rewatched Avatar before I saw this. And I was like, when did he have a kid before he died? But apparently he had a kid. And then they couldn't put him in cryo, so the kid was born and has been living with Navi, and it's like, what? So this is his kid. This is his kid. And then there's this whole father-son dynamic, but he's like, I'm not your father, but I am your father, but I'm not your father. And they have a great heartfelt kind of relationship that shouldn't be there because of this connection to, kind of being his son. And that's kind of fun too, but that's also stretching it for a little bit. Cause I'm like, how is this kid here? Also, Sigourney Weaver being back, she's playing a different character. She's playing like the offspring of her initial character, which she's somehow born, even though she switched bodies, she was pregnant. That doesn't make sense to me really, but I guess you just have to take it for what it is. She had a baby before she died, and the baby's there growing up, and now Jake's raising the baby. So There's a whole kid dynamic with this whole thing, which I think is why people start saying, well, this is not, this is not, why is it, they're saying it's too long. They're like, why is it focused on the kids? It's not focused on Jake enough. It's like, I thought this is his movie. Well, it's expanding the universe, everybody. And you have to expand the universe as you're developing shows like this. If you're going to do, he's going to do like a 3, 4, and a 5. In order to do that, well, you got to expand the universe. And that's what he's doing. And that's what this movie is. It's really a transitional movie leading up to the rest of the movies. And the big buildup in the fifth one, which he keeps selling as like the big bad is the fifth one, which makes sense because, well, that's the end all be all. You're going to have the big battle back on Earth, they're saying, which is kind of cool. Again, like I'd be down for that. Take it back. That's what fascinates me a lot when I hear about where he's going with this. Like this movie really is a filler movie. It really is. End of the day, you're reestablishing the characters. You're picking up where you came. I mean, they jump time so much. They jump like 20 years, and now they're like, okay, now we have a family. We have, a new structure. Oh, now mankind's back. And then they jump again. Like I said, they jump again and they make a whole civilization. So it's all building up for what's coming in 3, 4, and 5. And that's it. But they do have a fun story of revenge. Like, it's just like, oh, we're here now. This person's still alive. What's happening? And seeing the water people is great. Again, I said, like, the riding, all the visual effects of them riding on these sea creatures and actually going underwater. And you can tell that they were actually underwater doing this. And it's amazing. It really does look great. Hats off to James Cameron for that. Because honestly, he did a great job. And there's also these big, like, whales that come into the play. And this is another thing where I thought was one of those things. And I'm like, some people might really hate this in the movie. They're called the Tulkins. Well, the Tulkins come in and they're like a whale dragon kind of catfish combo. If you ask me, they kind of look like a catfish almost too. But they're like these huge creatures that, of course, they can attach into. They can actually attach their sensors into these two and mate with them. And they're huge whales and they're really kind. Well, the thing is, the humans are hunting them. And this is a big plot point in the whole movie, is that humans are hunting them in order to, honestly, all they're doing is killing them so that they can get inside their brain and suck out this substance that can help humans live forever. Of course, it comes down to living forever. I'm big fighter for living forever, but they're killing these creatures, and it's really sad how they do it because there's like really no reason besides money, greed, and power. And they kill these creatures, but they don't do anything with the meat. They don't do anything else besides kill them, suck the brain juice out, and they call it a day. And they're hunting the mothers who have babies all the time because they're slower. And this is where I'm like, people could really fucking hate this shit. I haven't heard about this online. This is like one point in the movie, I'm like, no one's talking about the whale killers. And they actually, there's like one whole sequence in this movie where I was like, woof. Like, if Sabrina saw this, which she refuses to see this movie. So hence why I'm here alone, everybody, talking about Avatar, The Way of Water. But if you saw this, like they have this whole sequence where they actually show every aspect of how they hunt down, kill, and siphon this energy out of these whales. And it's really gruesome. It's graphic, it's brutal. It's like every little step. And to me, I think it's a bit too much. I don't think you had to show all of that. Again, 3-hour movie, everybody. 3 hours and like 12 minutes. Like maybe you don't have that whole sequence. Maybe just have some exposition. That's all I'm saying, Talk about it. And maybe you don't have to show it killing this, but they kill it to lure Jake out. That's the whole point. So I guess for a plot point, but for me, I know it might turn off a lot of people. And I'm surprised I haven't heard more backlash about this because these creatures are phenomenal in the movie. They look fantastic. And as I've showed on this picture again, like they're huge, and this is one of them touching him and just having an intimate moment with them. And it's so sad how they kill them off in the movie. And they don't kill all of them. They kill a bunch of them. They hunt them down, and it's really, really gruesome. So The Way of Water is just has a way of touching on those heartstrings. I'll tell you the one thing that was really cool about this movie, though, overall, is I just don't really, there's a lot of times where I watch, like even watching the first one back, which I just did not too long ago, where I was like, okay, I still kind of looking at the actors and I'm kind of seeing them as opposed to seeing the actual characters. Well, in this one, I just sat back and I maybe it just looks better than the first one did, but I just believe they were who they were. And they looked so great. Like, I just believed them. I didn't even see the actors playing them at all this time. And I saw it in the first one. I also saw it in 4DX, which you haven't heard of 4DX. It's fucking nuts. You sit in this chair, it vibrates, it moves up and down, it sprays water at you. You can smell the movie. Honestly, you can smell the movie. you have like special effects rain. And I remember I watched the Harry Potter, the what was it, the last one called with the Grindelwald one. And I watched that one, and there's a sequence in there where it snows. And literally, it was snowing in the theater. I looked up and I was like, that's fucking nuts. Like, this is an experience if you're going to go see a movie. Of course, there's a trade-off. It's like $30 if you go to, and only Regal theaters do it. So if you have a Regal, they do it. Not everyone, but you can look on Regal.com to find out if there's one in your area. But the way they do it, it's amazing. And now it costs, like I said, it costs more like $30 a lot of times. If you have the Regal Unlimited Pass, which is, you know, you can watch 3 movies a week for the whole month. When you pay like $21 a month, you can watch it for a premium increase of like $6. So they still make you pay on top of it, which is bullshit if you ask me. It's like how Regal charges you an extra $1 to have a better chair. I'm like, go fuck yourselves. I love your theater. It looks great, but clearly and kindly, go fuck yourself. That's just rude. It's just rude. But yeah, so I saw it in that. It was really cool. But like I'm saying, the characters really blend in for me, and I really believe them being that character, which was great. Now, I just want to go into the ending a little bit before I wrap up my final review on Avatar. So, of course, there's a big battle. And I will tell you, at the very end, when they finally have that big moment where it's like, okay, we have to fight Miles again. There's the big lineup. The Na'vi versus the humans, or the Sky People, as they call them. They're against each other. There's a huge ship. Let me just talk about the huge ship. So there's... Okay, James Cameron, I see you. That's what I say, I see you. So when they finally have this big matchup, the Sky People are on a huge ship. And this is where I laugh so hard. It's like the Titanic, everybody. It was like James Cameron's like, let's do the Titanic somehow. Let's make it happen. And so they have this huge battle on this ship. And of course, the ship sinks. And it sinks just like the Titanic. And the people are like trying to catch their breath, and they're running through the corridors, and the water's filling up. And they even have a sequence where they're trying to get out, and they have to hold their breath and then go from section to section to get off the ship before they die. And I mean, spoiler alert, but it's Titanic. It's like, it looks better than Titanic, of course, because his visual effects are better. So I feel like James Cameron's like, it even kind of sunk like the Titanic. But I was like, Avatar, Titanic 2, The Way of Water. You know, it really felt like that to me, which it kind of was hilarious. Yeah, those theaters are cool, Rachel. They're awesome. They're awesome. If I do this again, it's an afternoon thing and you're able to come on, I'll bring you on if it's by myself. But it's just fun to be here and talk and, you know, have something come out today. But yeah, it's like Titanic in a way. And I think that's kind of an inside joke in a way, because you watch, you're like, okay, James, I get it. Which again is coming out very soon, Titanic, on Valentine's Day, because they're talking about these numbers games about how this might surpass Titanic. Well, now that Titanic's coming back into theaters, last time it came out, it made like 70 million, 50 or 70 million. If it does those numbers again, I mean, it's a numbers game. It keeps pushing it higher, and this is a chasing battle. But yeah, so they have this big battle, and of course, it's all setting up for what's to come. I'm not going to tell you the complete ending. If you watch the 3 hours and 12 minutes, you'll see what it is. But so far, it's made like $2.12 billion. It's the number four movie of all time. And I feel like that's going to go a little bit higher. I think it will. Titanic, like I said, is next. Can it beat Titanic? I feel like it should. I mean, James Cameron is kind of kicking himself in the butt by by bringing it out again and then letting Titanic still be over it. But, there's still some time. I don't think it's coming out of theaters anytime soon. He's going to milk this for a while. And this is 13 years after the original, so it's a long time. So maybe the reestablishing is needed, especially if you didn't see the first one. I guess you don't really need to. I mean, it does help. There's a lot of inside stuff that happens, but it kind of is its own story and kind of setting a new narrative moving forward for the whole franchise. And another thing that happened today, which is also why I brought this up, is because today it crossed another threshold, and it's now made $623.5 million domestically, which is crazy. Think about that. It's below $1 billion domestically, but it's made over $2 billion. So look at that. How much they've made overseas. That's insane, isn't it? It's insane. So they're saying now that it's moved up. This is actually from, I think it was Variety was saying that it's moved up, and now it's taking the number 10 spot and highest grossing of all time domestically. Now, before it's worldwide, everyone looks at worldwide, but domestically, it's breached that barrier. It's number 10. The next one is Avengers, and that's at 623.4 million. So, it just beat that. So it just beat that. and hopefully it can go higher. But I mean, the numbers are all very close when you look at a breakdown. So I think it will go up higher domestically, but worldwide, I'm not sure yet. We're going to see. I think they were expecting it to go higher. I think James was expecting number one, but how many times will they re-release this? How many times will this movie be in theaters? How many premium packages like 3D and 4DX will people pay extra for, especially nowadays? And they always say that it's based off inflation, but I don't know if I believe that as much as it can be. So overall, I just want to say this movie, for me, I think it's better. I think it's a better movie. I think it works. I think if you haven't seen it, maybe you want to drink a few drinks. Maybe you take something else. I don't know. And sit back and enjoy. I actually made it through the whole movie without going to the bathroom, which was like surprising for me. James Cameron said that when he was asked about that, he told an interviewer, he goes, well, you know, if they can't make it through the whole movie, they can just come back another time, which they will. Cocky a little bit, but you know, but it's true. It's a visual masterpiece, which everyone says, and the storyline, it's not very in depth. It's like I said, it's a revenge storyline, which I kind of expected going into it. The acting is great. The kids actually do a phenomenal job. I love everybody in the main cast. I think they all do a great job. It's just for me, again, a little long. Of course, it just feels like we're starting over again from day one in a lot of ways, and it's really a stepping stone movie. The next one, which is already shot in the can, will come out, and I bet that will be even better. So for me, not a bad movie. It's not, you know, recreating the wheel or reinventing the wheel, but you know, it's fun. And again, like I said, I could turn off and it's just a fun adventure movie and a family movie, which will work a lot of times. Look at like some of the biggest hit movies. Look at the Mission Impossible movies. I'll still say my favorite Mission Impossible movie is Mission Impossible 3, because Mission Impossible 3 was all about family. And it really hit home. And that was a J.J. Abrams directed movie. And J.J. loves to lean into the family. And with James Cameron doing this now, and the fact that he shot 2 and 3 back to back, it was so the kids don't grow up too fast. So they look the same in the movies. They're doing a lot of special effects and stuff already. So I don't know how much this really plays into it, but it's good. It keeps it all kind of in line, and it makes it line up. And it's about family. And I think that's why at the end of the day, it's made so much money, because people like to come out to movies about family. And if there's a lot of sadness in this movie. Spoilers, I'm not going to tell you. There's a lot of sadness, but there's also a lot of triumph and growth and accepting where you are in life. Because I feel like the Jake character, Jake Skelly, like I feel like Jake Sully. I have a friend named Jake Skelly. That's why. Jake Sully, he feels like he's done with this world. He's not the fighter he used to be. So it's really a midlife crisis type thing, but also like an accepting of who you are as a man, as a person, as a human being, as a woman, as an individual. It's who you are, and like being able to look at your life and be like, who am I, and what do I have to do, and how do I protect my family and everything I've built up through my whole life, because they can go crashing down so easily. It's wild that it's made that much. Yeah, it is wild, Rachel. It's made a lot of money. And people aren't even talking about it. Like I said, the whale thing. I'm surprised nobody was talking about the whale thing. It blows my mind. Fast and the Furious series is all about the family. I know it is, Rachel. And that's why, think about that. That movie does great. It does amazing for Universal. And it's all about family. End of the day, it sells. Family sells. It just does. So, Way of Water, everybody. I'm gonna give it a reluctant thumbs up. Again, nothing like groundbreaking. Nothing super amazing. I do think visually, okay, except the visuals. So I also saw it in 3D. The 3D was great. Honestly, the 3D was the best I've ever seen. Usually that shit gives me a headache. It all played very well. The 3D was great moments. Even the 4DX, if you see it in 4DX, because I know they're still keeping it in that platform because it does make more money. And a movie like this is kind of made for that. Hence why I waited to go to 4DX. I wanted to wait till I had a chance, and because it was full for a long time at the Regal by my house in North Hollywood. So I went, and honestly, sometimes when you do those, they move too much, or they move at weird times, like you're having a very dramatic scene. It's like jumping you up and down the fucking air. You're like, what's happening? I'm missing these lovely moments of passion, you know? But in this moment, it wasn't like that. It was, you know, it was only at certain times. I would say there was a lot less 4DX than I expect. But during those battle scenes, it was great. And there weren't as many battle scenes as you'd think. Probably 3 in the whole thing. There's like there's like 3 or 4. There's one big one in the beginning. There's one where they finally meet up again, where Miles is trying to be like, hey, Jake, I'm back alive. I'm here, you know? There's one in the middle where it's like the army's trying to go in and get a chance to try to find out if they can go under the radar. And then there's one big one at the end. And there's a lot of training. There's a lot of like them learning life again because they joined this new tribe. And it's really a good character study in a lot of ways. And like I said before, I believe these characters when I watch them. I believe they're these characters. I believe in their way of life. And I think it works. I think it works, and I think that's why it's done so well. It could have easily been the same as the first one again. In a lot of ways it is. A lot of ways it is because, again, sky people, threat, civilization, except now you have more tribes coming together. You have more people coming together to maybe ban them forever. Or maybe a treaty will come. I don't think a fucking treaty is coming. I'm going to say that right now because, honestly, the way this is going, by the end, it's going to be a huge battle. And who will win? That's the question. Giovanni Ricci, he was barely in this movie. Giovanni, I love this guy, right? I thought he was going to be like a bigger part. I loved his character before. He's like in 2 scenes in the whole movie. Giovanni Ricci, I can never say his last name right. I am horrible with fucking names, everybody. You're going to learn that if you watch this show even more. And that's why I have people like Sabrina help me stop butchering people's names. But he is awesome in this, the little bit he's in it, and it made me really be like, why not bring him back? I'm hoping his part's bigger in the next one. I think it should be. I think it really will be, but only time will tell.